Well, we finally have some updates on some key injured Maple Leafs, and the news is good on one and not so much on the other. Hey, everyone, Rob Wong, joined alongside by national NHL columnist Michael Traikos. And Michael, we got to begin with Jake Muzzin, who the Maple Leafs have finally revealed is dealing with a cervical spine injury. He will be reevaluated in February. GM Kyle Dubas spoke to the media on Monday and says it's still up in the air at this point if Muzzin is going to be able to return. The injury definitely sounds very scary, and we're not just talking about hockey here. We're talking about his career. We're talking about his life after hockey. There's many different factors that you would have to think Muzzin and the Maple Leafs are weighing in a potential return.
Yeah, I agree, Rob. And first and foremost, we just hope that Jake Muzzin, he's a family guy. He's a father of two, I believe. First and foremost, you just hope that, he can get healthy, whether or not he plays again in the NHL. It doesn't sound like he's going to be playing in the NHL again. And I think that's what the Leafs kind of reiterated today with Kyle Dubas talking to reporters, just saying, this is more than just a hockey thing. This is a quality of life thing. And, maybe it's good news with the Leafs that they got some final clarity on what the injury is with Muzzin. Doesn't look like he's going to be back, like I said, in a month or two. They're going to reevaluate things in February, but by all accounts, it looks like he's going to be done for the season. And if that's the case, you got a player on long-term injured reserve. That frees up a lot of cap space for the Leafs. It means that Kyle Dubas can go out and get a defenseman, which this team badly needs. And the only question is, can you find him? The Leafs aren't the only ones who are looking for a defenseman these days. Ottawa Senators are also banged up with Thomas Chabot out. The Buffalo Sabres are getting some bodies back on their back end, but they're also looking for a defenseman. Basically, you can go around the whole league, whether it's Vancouver, Edmonton, and I'm just talking about Canadian franchises, but the American franchises as well. Like, there's a serious need for defensemen, and the only guy out there that really we're talking about is Jacob Chychrun, who still hasn't played this season. Another name that's out there is John Klingberg with Anaheim. Doesn't really fit what the Leafs need in terms of a replacement for Muzzin, who's going to be the ideal candidate would be someone with a little bit more size, who can kill penalties, who can add a little bit more physicality on the back end. So we'll see where the Leafs go from now with this, but it does present a lot of options for them.
So the one player that is coming back is Matt Murray, who will return from an adductor injury. He only played one game so far this season, and he'll make his return against his old Pittsburgh Penguins team on Tuesday evening, Michael. So quite a lot of storylines going into this one. Erik Källgren has held down the fort admirably in his absence, and Ilya Samsonov's absence as well. Is this just coming at the right time? And do you think Matt Murray? I guess only he knows. The coaching staff knows if it's too early for him to return or not. But I guess you just hope he can keep going here for a little bit while Samsonov gets healthy as well.
Yeah, it's kind of remarkable. The Leafs are able to kind of survive the injuries that they've had, especially in net. Like, you lose Matt Murray, who was a question mark going into the season, whether or not he was going to be up to snuff as a number one goalie. You lose him, and Samsonov was able to pick up the load admirably, like you mentioned. And then Källgren, 2-2-1, I believe, or 2-1-1 in Samsonov's absence, and that's a number 3 goalie we're talking about. So, let's face it, Rob, like, this is not a team that's going to be relying a lot on their goaltending throughout the regular season. There's just too much offense where Toronto can really kind of outscore their problems without any worries. So what you're hoping for if you're the Leafs is that Matt Murray can come back up to speed. He allows, fewer than 4 goals a game, because really that's what the Leafs need in terms of supplying offense and run support in that regards. But yeah, it's going to be one of those things, whether it's Murray, whether it's Samsonov, whether it's Källgren. None of these guys are perfect number 1 goalies, but I think, if you're the Leafs and you've got Matthews scoring like he is now, and Marner's producing points, and Nylander's going like he's going, you might not need a number 1. At least that's what, the first month or so of the season has really showed us.
And finally, we've got some news off the ice. Of course, the GM meetings are going on Tuesday, and lots of talk right now about how the World Cup has been pushed back due to a lot of different factors, including what's happening in Russia right now, of course, Michael. But, is there still an appetite for best on best? And if there is, what are the alternatives that the league might look at?
You hope there's an appetite. Like, last time we had a World Cup was 2016, and the Olympics, it's the NHL skipped the last 2, so it's not looking very good. Like, we still haven't seen Connor McDavid and Sidney Crosby on the same Team Canada, which is, kind of a travesty considering that Crosby is really kind of reaching the end point of his career. So, there is talk, and we'll see if this talk picks up, of a Canada versus U.S. kind of rivalry series. I think that would be great. It's not obviously what the ideal situation is, where you've got Russia, you've got Team Sweden, you've got Finland and Czechia and some other powerful nations. But, it does give you a chance of seeing Crosby and McDavid on one team, and maybe Patrick Kane and Austin Matthews on another. And, if you do a best of 7 series, I think that'll placate some fans. But, you look at the NHL standings right now for scoring, and you don't just have Canadians and Americans. You've got guys like Leon Draisaitl, who plays for Germany. You've got David Pastrnak, another country. Like, there's Europeans, there's everything right now. So it just shows how global of a game this is. And to not have a World Cup or not have NHLers at the Olympics, I think fans are definitely missing out. So we'll see what happens in the future. But yeah, with the war in the Ukraine with Russia, it doesn't surprise me that the Russians are going to be left out of that.
Yeah, it is pretty crazy, like you said. Connor McDavid, we still haven't seen him at an Olympic Games. For all of Michael's NHL coverage, you can find his work at Postmedia and on Twitter at Michael_Traikos.